Hey guys, today we're going to be learning about what are called special triangles. So you'll learn what makes them special and how to apply the properties that they have. Before we do that, I want you to ignore the number 1 in your notes, and I want to review some radical rules that will really help you with some of the things we're going to be doing in today's lesson. So the first thing I want to review with you is how to simplify a radical. We've been doing that a lot lately, so I won't spend a whole lot of time on that. But remember, if you're not given a perfect square that you're taking the square root of, then that is an irrational number. So since 18 is not a perfect square, then the square root of it is going to be irrational, meaning if I put this in my calculator, I'm going to get a decimal that never ends, so it doesn't terminate, and it's not repeating. And so with irrational numbers, unless you're given a rounding rule, then you don't want to make up your own. And so we want to keep it the same value by just simplifying it. So if I want to simplify the square root of 18, I know 18 is not a perfect square, but it may contain a factor that is. And so we can take the square root of that factor instead. If you don't know all the factors of the number, 18 is pretty small, so we could definitely come up with all the numbers that multiply to get 18 without any trouble. But if you didn't know those, remember you can use your graphing calculator to help you. If you go to the y equals in your top left button on your calculator and you put the number that's underneath the radical, but you don't put a radical on it, and you divide that by x, so we would put y equals 18 divided by x, then you can go to the table and it'll show you all the numbers, and table is above the graph button, so you'll have to hit second graph. It'll give you all these numbers, and you're looking for perfect squares. So even though 1 is a perfect square, I certainly wouldn't want to rewrite 18 as 1 times 18. That's not helpful at all. That won't simplify it. So then the next factor pair is 2 and 9. 2 is not a perfect square because there's not a number that multiplies by itself to get 2, but 9 is. So I'm going to use this factor pair and rewrite the 18 underneath the radical as 2 times 9. Now those have the exact same value. 18 and 2 times 9 are exactly the same thing, but 9 is a perfect square. So I'm going to circle the 9. Sorry for the music, I'm going to keep going though. So I can take the square root of 9 and bring it out when I take the square root of it. The square root of 9 is 3. So the 3 is on the outside of the radical and the 2 is on the inside of the radical. So this is the simplified version of the square root of 18. If you put both of them into your calculator, then you would get the same decimal answer as a result. If you put them both in and you get a different decimal, you know you did not simplify it correctly. I'm going to stop here and do a new video once the music stops.